Welcome to the third week of the Be Well Mindfully Mindfulness Training Program. Today, we will focus on attachment and aversion to experiences. During today's lesson, feel free to go through the material at your own pace. We recommend watching the entire video in one sitting so as to minimize the chances of losing your place or missing information presented in the lesson. However, if you need to take breaks, you are encouraged to do so. Feel free to re-watch this video as many times as you would like. Over the past week, you were introduced to the choiceless awareness exercise. Through choiceless awareness, we acknowledge everything that is present without having any particular expectations or preferences. We just observe the ebb and flow of our emotions, thoughts, physical sensations, or mental images as they come and go. Our awareness takes on the quality of a mirror that reflects whatever we hold upon it without attempting to alter it. In this manner, we cultivate a mindset that helps us both remain composed even in times of stress and face whatever happens. We even perceive fear, the feeling of, how am I ever going to get through this, as just another facet of the life experience. In this way, we begin to strengthen mindful presence in the face of challenging situations. Mindful self-inquiry is an investigation into the nature of one's own mind and being. In the context of this training, that inquiry looks into physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts that may be contributing to stress, anxiety, or the experience and management of chronic pain. In your daily life, you may be so busy doing that you feel you have little or no time for self-reflection. Yet, this exploration is extremely worthwhile, as fears often lie beneath the surface of awareness. When you practice mindful self-inquiry, you bring kind awareness and acknowledgement to any stressed or anxious feelings in the body and mind, and simply allow them to be. This means staying with those feelings without analyzing, suppressing, or encouraging them. Although this may seem scary in and of itself, realize that when you allow yourself to feel and acknowledge your worries, irritations, painful memories, and other difficult thoughts and emotions, this often helps them dissipate. By going with what's happening, rather than expending energy fighting or turning away from it, you create the opportunity to gain insight into what's fueling it. When you begin to understand the underlying causes of your apprehension, freedom and a sense of spaciousness naturally emerge. In essence, this is a process of learning to trust and stay with feelings of angst and discomfort rather than trying to escape from or analyze them. This often leads to a remarkable shift. Time and again, your feelings will show you everything you need to know about them, and something you need to know for your own well-being. Using the acronym SAFE, while not a formal mindfulness practice, can be helpful for working with mindful self-inquiry. The first letter, S, stands for soften around a strong emotion that is present. A stands for allow or acknowledge that it's there. F, feel in the body where the emotion resides. For this step, ask yourself, what do I need right now? Then, in your mind, say, may I be, and then fill in the blank. For example, if you need ease, say, may I be at ease. Finally, the E represents expanding this friendly wish to all other people who are experiencing this same feeling right now. SAFE is a nourishing, insightful self-inquiry practice that you can bring into daily life to help you discover deeper threads of what triggers strong emotional reactions. Throughout the next week, soften around any strong emotion and allow it to be present. Feel into the sensation, be curious about it, and ask yourself, what am I needing right now? Then send those kind intentions inward. The last element, expand, is useful to understand the common humanity behind your suffering. Often, most of us have an easier time extending grace and understanding to others rather than ourselves. You can use that sense of giving and connection to support perspective and resiliency during the inevitable difficult moments. By seeing your story as impermanent and not identifying with it, you'll begin to loosen the grip of your own mind traps. This will help create the space for you to be with the things as they are and deepen your understanding of what drives your fear, anger, and sadness. It also grants you the freedom to look at the situation differently and choose a response other than what may be the automatic habitual reaction. By understanding what you need and feeling into common humanity, you can gain a sense of self-reliance and confidence. Another way to work with challenges is to investigate how we see things. It's remarkable how often we operate from belief systems filled with numerous inner rules about how others, ourselves, or the world should be. Just think of the amount of energy you exert trying to change things to be the way that you want them to be. Maybe you believe that it's wrong or unfair that others are not suffering as much as you, either with chronic pain or following a traumatic event. As a result, you may become resentful and angry. You might also wish that others could experience the pain you feel, even if this isn't in alignment with your values. Or maybe you think people shouldn't cut you off on the freeway, and when they do, you tailgate them to show your disapproval, which could cause an accident. Or, like many people, you might believe that your partner should know your feelings and desires without you having to express them. With time, you may become increasingly resentful if your feelings aren't recognized and your wishes aren't honored. Unfortunately, many things are beyond our control, particularly world events and others' behavior. Efforts to change these things often sap our energy for other endeavors and lead to disappointment, increased anxiety, depression, and angst. Make it a practice to notice when inner rules or judgments come up. When the word should comes into your mind or out of your mouth, Check in to see if it reflects an inner rule or judgment. As you become mindful of should, you may be amazed at how much they drive you. Don't take this as an opportunity to judge yourself. Rather, realize that developing this awareness is the first step in choosing to relate to the world and yourself differently. At this point in the course, our focus shifts to seeing how mindfulness helps us deal with stress and unpleasant sensations in a way that mitigates the negative impact on our health. As described earlier, the first step is to pause for a moment to identify both the stress trigger and our reaction to it, and to recognize the early warning signs of stress. The formal MBSR exercises, including the body scan and sitting meditation, all strengthen this capacity to stay in touch with our bodies and recognize the early warning signs of stress. The next stage is about discovering what happens on the cognitive level, at the level of our thoughts, judgments, and emotions, when we experience thoughts, emotions, or sensations that we perceive as negative. We can't banish discomfort or stress from our lives entirely, but we can influence how we deal with it by evaluating the thoughts that serve to amplify our distress. Largely, stress and burdensome emotions begin in our minds. Research indicates that we can make a significant contribution toward coping with stress by identifying the triggers of our distress and our distress-amplifying thoughts. As a rule, our assessments and value judgments occur instantly. If we can be aware of these in a calm and friendly manner, as practiced in mindful meditation, and then allow them to move on instead of giving them credence or identifying with them, they gradually lose their harmful impact on us. The practice of mindfulness can be very helpful in becoming aware of this. The sitting meditation, or the thoughts as cloud meditation in particular, during which we observe our thoughts as simply thoughts, can be especially useful. In these meditations, we can recognize that thoughts come and go all of the time. They are ephemeral and in themselves have no real substance. With patience and perseverance, we can experience this repeatedly in mindful meditation practice. In time, we will more easily recognize the transient nature of distress-amplifying thoughts. Then, even in potentially difficult situations, we can let them flow by instead of giving them greater substance by trying to fight them off. If we can stay present without reacting while a chain of negative thoughts arises, it will grow even easier to avoid entanglement in the net of associations that would otherwise ensnare us. Let's use insomnia as an example. If you are someone that has trouble falling asleep at night, you may notice yourself lying awake for long stretches of time in bed. All kinds of thoughts may go through your head as you feel wide awake. Feeling that you should be sleeping, you may try to fight off this feeling. You may become stressed about not being able to sleep properly. You may be racking your brain for ways to improve your sleep. Additionally, you may find yourself worrying about how on earth you will manage to get up in the morning. Through mindfulness, you may come to realize that the worry about insomnia, including trying to figure out the cause, judging yourself for it, and catastrophizing its meaning and consequences, are likely aggravating your insomnia. Through mindfulness, when judgmental thoughts about insomnia start up, you can build conscious awareness of them and practice being mindful of your breathing instead of getting caught up in negative chains of thought. When you reframe your experience not as insomnia, but as simply being awake, you can build a sense of calm. Without getting caught up in the suffering, you are more likely to remain relaxed and drift back to sleep. Some of our thought processes are extremely stubborn and tenacious, or perhaps so charged with emotions that we're too caught up to observe them objectively. Some thoughts are so powerful and so deeply embedded in the subconscious that we need to deal with them in other ways. In these instances, cognitive strategies such as questioning the content of the thoughts or making a reality check can be very helpful. The first step to take when troublesome or distressing thoughts occur is to be continuously aware of the thoughts without trying to fight them off or criticize ourselves because they have surfaced. The idea is to cultivate an attitude of tolerance and self-acceptance, particularly in difficult situations. Then, if we notice the thoughts are distressing, turbulent, and persistent, we can make a mindful decision to pause and ask certain questions about them. These questions may be, is this thought true? What proof is there? What would someone who wasn't in my situation think? How will I reflect on the situation later, maybe tomorrow or in a year? These are just a few examples of how to question your thoughts with kindness and curiosity. It can also be very helpful to release feelings of guilt or shame, to tell yourself, I am allowed to make mistakes. I am allowed to not be able to do something. I am allowed to have weaknesses and show them. In situations that can't be changed, we ask ourselves questions that inspire a shift in perspective. These can include questions such as, what can I learn from this situation? What meaning or understanding can I find in this situation? Difficult or distressing emotions can also be stress triggers. Our thoughts generate and influence our emotions and vice versa. Emotions can reinforce our thoughts and make them seem more real. Our emotions help us recognize and identify our needs, and at the same time, they form the basis of decision-making processes in our everyday life. In the sitting meditation, we practice mindfulness of various phenomena, including the breath, the body as a whole, sensation, sounds, thoughts, and emotions. Practicing this way allows us to recognize thoughts as thoughts and emotions as emotions. This is a vital step in working with the reactions to distress triggers, whether they're related to trauma or chronic pain, by slowly replacing automatic reactions with mindful responses. Automatic reactions do not run their course as easily as before, and we can be much more in touch with situations and ourselves as they unfold. Experiencing difficult or overwhelming emotions is one of the major factors in distress following trauma and often in chronic pain as well. Many individuals express interest in mindfulness training because they want to learn to be more skillful with their emotions. They express their concerns in various ways. They may say that when they're stressed, they get angry and treat people unfairly. Or perhaps they shout and yell and blame others, even when it's not their fault, to the point where it begins to interfere with relationships. Some people experience their emotions by turning inward. They may say that they experience stress and then withdraw inward and become reclusive. They may also say that they are not in touch with their feelings. With difficulty venting their emotions, they may experience physiological complaints such as stomach ulcers or headaches. These are examples that illustrate the two different ways of dealing with difficult emotions that we may experience. One, we suppress them until we aren't aware of them any longer, but they continue to have an effect on the subconscious and potentially manifesting in our body. Two, we allow ourselves to be governed by emotions, and they overwhelm us in stressful situations. In both cases, we lose contact with our emotions and they tend to run us. However, there is another option. By cultivating mindfulness and adopting a non-judgmental attitude towards our emotions, we can learn to be with them openly as they occur. The more adept we become at recognizing and understanding our feelings, the better we can understand what we're experiencing emotionally at any given moment. We can be more in touch with what we need and how we can express that need, an important aspect of mindful communication. When we begin to build mindful awareness of our experience, we may also begin to notice that certain thoughts, sensations, or situations elicit reactions of impulse, craving, or aversion. When you notice an impulse to do something that you would normally engage in, or a craving or aversion to something, try to ask yourself one or more of the following questions. It's best to see each question as an open space in which you can simply be present with whatever comes up, rather than as an item on a to-do list that you have to check off. First, notice what is drawing you to engage in the activity. What do you seem to want really badly? Next, take time to note what sensations are present. Where are they located in the body? Are thoughts present? For example, are you thinking, I've got to have this, or I have to stop this? Are any feelings present, such as sadness, restlessness, anger, or joy? How can you be mindful while experiencing a desire to either reach for something or try to avoid it? Do you really want something, or is there something unpleasant that you want to cover up or block? Is there something else that would in fact be healthier and more satisfying for you? How would whatever you are pulled toward influence your health or feeling of well-being? What alternatives might be possible? And finally, what obstacles seem to prevent you from choosing a healthy alternative? As we have said many times throughout these trainings, these questions and activities are not necessarily meant to encourage you to change your behaviors, feelings, or thoughts. Rather, The objective is to simply bring mindful awareness and intention to your actions. This way, your behaviors will become conscious choices that you have the power and the autonomy to enact, if you so wish, rather than habits born out of autopilot mode. The next practice exercise we will introduce is called the Turning Toward Physical Pain meditation. Before we begin, it will be helpful to briefly discuss how to work with physical pain. If you have a chronic pain problem, that may be part of the reason you are taking this mindfulness training. As we have gone through the training, you may have become aware that you have pain or that you habitually hold tension in certain parts of the body, especially when feeling stressed or on edge. The first step in working with pain is to assess whether it's acute or chronic. Acute pain usually has a physical cause, is often associated with a recent injury or physical problem, and may require immediate medical attention. Meanwhile, chronic pain may have a physical cause, but it is also likely to be associated with cognitive and emotional components such as grief, anger, fear, shame, or confusion. Mindfulness meditation has been shown to help with chronic pain. There are 3 important steps in working with physical pain. The first is investigation. This involves sensing into your body and feeling how you hold tension and pain. The second is working with emotional reactions to the pain and tension. The third involves a more philosophical approach, learning to live in the here and now and dealing with pain one moment at a time. When we think about investigating pain and tension in the body, it may sound counterintuitive or even frightening to bring focused attention to the body and its sensations when you're feeling pain. Isn't it normal to want to escape or distract yourself from pain? Why would you want to bring awareness to discomfort when it seems so much better to get rid of it? However, if you don't know that you're holding pain and tension in the body, you may be increasing it inadvertently. This is where mindfulness comes in. A common knee-jerk reaction to pain is to clench and get tighter around it. Unfortunately, this may increase the physical pain as well as begin a vicious cycle of reactions that lead to increased negative and sometimes unhelpful emotions. Getting tight around pain further constricts the muscles and restricts blood flow, which can cause more spasms and pain, possibly even in other areas of the body. This cycle is difficult to stop, and in time, you may discover that you're constricted not just around the painful area, but also throughout the body. The body scan meditation exercise provides an opportunity for you to reorient towards living and working with physical pain and tension. As you re-educate yourself about your pain by distinguishing physical sensations from mental and emotional feelings, you can learn to recognize strong sensations in the body as just physical sensations. That said, living with physical tension and pain can be very difficult and cause high levels of stress and anxiety, so it's important to learn skills for both coping with pain and reducing it. Once you become aware of how you hold pain in your body, you can start figuring out how to best work with it. For example, you may have lower back pain, and using the body scan, discover the tension and tightness expands to the top of your head, that your entire body is constricted and in a mass of pain. Is there a need for the extra tension and tightness beyond the lower back area? The truth is, you may be further exacerbating your pain by adding on and holding this musculoskeletal tension. So how do you deal with this excessive area of constricted tension and pain? Mindful awareness will not only allow you to see where you're holding unnecessary tension, but also help you soften and possibly release tension in these areas where there's no pain at all. Mindfulness also teaches that if you can't release the tension, you can practice riding it in waves, just observing them, letting them be, and allowing them to ripple wherever they need to go. Just like watching ripples in a pond extending out further and further, you can give space to sensations and let them go wherever they need to go. Learning to be with pain may feel counterintuitive, but it's a fundamental step in healing. Rather than investing your energy in fighting or restricting pain, learn to go with it. Next, we will discuss working with the emotions and physical pain. Why do we have such a hard time dealing with physical and emotional pain? Is it because of our upbringing? Do we live in a culture that prefers to deny the existence of pain? We certainly receive many cultural messages that encourages us to keep a stiff upper lip and suppress, avoid, or deny our pain and other feelings. Mindfulness, on the other hand, offers a pathway to working with uncomfortable emotions that often arise when you have physical pain, such as anger, rage, sadness, anxiety, confusion, and fear. Bringing mindful awareness to emotions allows you to begin to acknowledge them, no matter what they are, validating them without censorship or resistance. As with physical pain, resistance to difficult emotions often causes more pain, while learning to let be and go with them, rather than fighting them, can often diminish or change the suffering associated with them. Rather than fighting difficult emotions, simply allow and acknowledge whatever you feel, letting the waves of emotion go wherever they need to go. As mentioned earlier, there are important distinctions between acknowledgement and acceptance, as well as between letting be and letting go. To acknowledge is to simply see things as they are, whether you like it or not. Acceptance, on the other hand, can be seen as being okay or at peace with things as they are. If you're experiencing pain, it may be difficult to be okay with the pain, but you can acknowledge it even if you don't accept it. Likewise, letting be is different from letting go. Letting go implies being able to release, whereas letting be simply provides space for things to be as they are. Just like the sky gives space to a storm, you can give space to your emotions. Acknowledging emotional pain helps create the possibility for deeper understanding, compassion, and peace. As you gain more understanding of your physical pain, your emotional reactions to it, and the differences between them, you'll begin to see that there's a difference between physical pain and suffering. Even in times where you can't change the physical sensations of pain, you can change your emotional responses to them and thereby reduce your suffering. In other words, physical pain is a reality, but suffering is optional. The body does have pain receptors and is designed to feel pain. In fact, in some cases, it can help prevent injury. However, your emotional response to pain is in your hands. With time and practice, you can learn to feel the pain and suffer less. The third step in turning towards physical pain is living in the present moment. The truth is, you can only live in the here and now. This is the only moment in which you can make any changes. When you identify with stress, tension, or chronic pain, you may think of it as a long-term problem or life sentence, and this attitude can take you out of the present moment. Mindfulness teaches you to be in the here and now. You don't know what the future may bring, and you don't really know if the stress and pain will last forever. Through mindfulness practice, you can learn to be with pain one moment at a time and develop an attitude of let's see if I can be with pain in this moment. If pain arises in the next moment, I'll deal with it then. As you deepen your practice of mindfulness, you'll reconnect to yourself and discover new strategies to work with tension and pain. Rather than being held hostage by your discomfort, you can cultivate the attitude that it's possible to learn from it. As you learn to let go of the past and not cling to a specific vision of the future, you'll be able to see things as they are in the moment, with a growing sense of freedom and the possibility of new options. This perspective transforms you, your pain, and your relationship to your pain. To conclude this week's mindfulness training, we ask that you participate in the following mindfulness meditation exercises. The first exercise is the turning toward physical pain meditation. This meditation can be done either sitting or laying down and is designed to work with difficult sensations, including severe or chronic physical pain or difficult emotional experiences. As this course is designed to specifically target physical pain, we suggest using physical pain as the focus while doing this meditation. However, we will use open-ended prompts to allow you to pick the situation or issue that feels right for you in the current moment. As always, you are the expert of your life and experience. As we begin, notice the support that you have received from what you are sitting or lying on. Paying special attention to the sensations of support. If you are sitting, notice how your feet are making contact with the floor, how your back is supported by the chair or cushion, how your arms and hands are resting. If you're lying down, notice how you're supported by the floor or bed. how your upper body, arms, legs, and feet are meeting the surface at points of contact. Whether sitting or lying down, allow your weight to sink down through this point of contact, and wherever possible, let go any tension draining down into the support and beyond. And as you're sitting or lying here, letting any thoughts or images go, just feeling supported by what's beneath you. When you're ready, notice the breath. Whether you're feeling it most vividly in your abdomen or chest or nostrils, actually feeling the breath moving, noticing how the whole body expands a little on the in-breath and relaxes a little on the out-breath. Just letting your breath be your breath, knowing you're breathing just fine. If it helps, you can even observe your breath like you'd watch waves at the seashore, watching them go out and come back in and flow back out again, smoothing the sand as they come in and out. You know, you won't demand that they go faster or slower, or that they be bigger or smaller. You just enjoy watching them and seeing if, in the same way, you can allow the breath to just be as it is, letting the breath just breathe itself. In a moment, we'll turn our attention to something that's troubling you. Something that's not the way you want it to be. Until you've had experience with this process, it's best to choose something that's not huge, something that has enough charge that you have a definite reaction to it, but it's not the biggest thing in your life. This could be a physical condition, health problem, a relationship issue, a misunderstanding or a setback, or it could just be something like an inconsiderate neighbor or coworker, or something you don't like about yourself. Taking your time, there's no wrong choice. Whatever you choose is going to be right for this meditation. Letting yourself get a sense of what you could choose to work on, and just pick one of these and not the biggest. Once you've found a situation or issue, see if you can identify the feeling about this situation. Is there anger, fear, sadness, impatience, confusion? what would you call it? And if, for example, it was anger, rather than saying, I am angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm sad about something, see how it feels to say, I'm noticing something in me that is this way, that is angry, or afraid, or sad. I'm noticing something in me that has this feeling. Just see how it feels to say it that way. This gives the feeling more room to move, and you won't identify with it as much. This way, you're not labeling yourself as angry or fearful. You're merely aware that you have those feelings right now. And as you say this, something in me is annoyed, or angry, or sad, whichever best describes this feeling. See if you can notice where there might be a physical reaction to this. It could be a tightening in the shoulders or chest, tightness or squeeziness in the stomach, pressure or tension of some sort, achiness, constriction, tension in the throat, heat in the face, tightness in the jaw. Just seeing where it is that affects you physically, where you can notice it. Or if you can't find a specific place, that's fine. It could just be a general sense of unease that you feel all over, or a tensing or readiness of the arms, as if you're going to protect yourself or someone else, or of the legs, as if you're getting ready to run. If you can, just allowing what you are noticing to just be there. Simply acknowledging it, letting your awareness gently rest there, allowing it to be just the way it is, without demanding that it be different. With difficult emotions or sensations, it's normal to want to move away from them, wanting to push them away. So, without trying to soften them directly, see if you can soften your reaction to them. You may not like what you're feeling, but is it possible to accept that it is what you're feeling right now? See if you can give yourself permission to actually feel this, allowing it to be there with kindness and gentleness, recognizing that accepting something is present does not necessarily mean that you like it. This is softening and allowing, softening of your reaction to the feeling that you're having, allowing that reaction to be there, allowing the feelings to be there. If it's possible for you, see if you can soften your reaction to the difficulty, to this situation, with gentle breaths. See if you can be with it in the same way you'd be with a child or a pet who you love and who's in distress. If that were the case, you would do this with tenderness, with gentleness. You wouldn't demand that your loved one respond differently than they are. And if you like, you might even place your hand where in your body you're physically feeling the difficulty the most, or on your heart or abdomen, meeting this experience with kindness, recognizing that this would be difficult or painful or challenging for anybody, holding it and yourself gently with kindness, and taking your time with this. There's no rush. As you do this, you may feel sensations and feelings coming and going. You may notice, if you pay close attention, that there may be a moment where you experience movement or change from moment to moment. Perhaps a tightening or loosening. You may notice heat, waves of energy, or images or impressions may emerge. Through all of this, see if you can bring a sense of kindness, curiosity, and compassion to your exploration. Spend enough time here to make contact with what you're noticing and feeling, but not so much that you become overwhelmed. When you do this on your own, or at any time during this meditation, if you do feel overwhelmed, you can choose to return to the breath, or simply sense into the physical support that you have from the chair, or bed, or floor. And if it's still too much, you can always pause or stop the meditation, open your eyes, and look around the room to reorient yourself before coming back and continuing with the meditation. Now, without trying to push the difficult issue away, taking a moment now, seeing if you can find somewhere in your life where things are generally okay, or maybe even good, something or someone you're grateful for. It could be a loved one, a favorite pet, past or present, a good friend, maybe an achievement in the past or present you're proud of, or a hobby or sport that gives you pleasure and satisfaction. It could even be something as simple as recalling a smile or a kind word someone had recently said to you in the past. There may be several things or people that you are grateful for that come to mind. Just letting them flow into your awareness, feeling the sense of gratitude and warmth, noticing how it affects affects your body to imagine this in its wholeness. If what comes to mind to you is physical and involves movement, even if it's something that doesn't seem like it involves a lot of movement, like writing or drawing, imagine how it feels to move in this way. Your arms, legs, torso, even the touch of the pen or brush, or whatever it is that you're coming in contact with. The movement of your body. If it has to do with a special feeling you have in this situation, or with these particular people in your life who you're most grateful for, let yourself feel that. Notice where in your body you feel this most vividly. Maybe feeling the warmth in your heart, or a safe, secure feeling in your belly. Softness around the face or eyes. Aliveness in your limbs as they move through space. Let yourself spend some time here. When you do this meditation on your own, feel free to stay here as long as you want, whatever feels right for you. And once you're ready, knowing that you can come back to what you're grateful for, you may want to check in with what has been troubling you. See how it feels to you now. And doing this gently, just checking in, like you're opening the door to a room where you were in recently, just kind of looking inside from the doorway, revisiting the difficult situation or issue or condition. As you do this, what do you notice? How is this the same or different than before? See if you can do this gently, allowing the feelings or sensations to be the way that they are without needing them to change. And yet, things might change as you pay attention to them on your own. Just spending long enough here to notice how it feels to be revisiting the difficulty right now. And when you're ready, you can go back to the present, the pleasant feeling, or the things or people that you're grateful for, and hang out there for a while. Noticing what it's like to be paying attention to this again, to what's working, to what feels good, what you're grateful for, how this feels in your body now. In a way, the parts of your life that are working well, the parts you're grateful for, can be seen as gently holding the areas that are difficult or challenging. You may notice that things may feel differently than they did before. They're actually fluid and dynamic. They're not fixed. And when you're ready, seeing if you can broaden your awareness, like panning out with a wide-angle lens, including both the difficulty and what you're grateful for. Zooming out so wide that there's enough space and room for both of them, without pushing away the difficult or clinging to the pleasant. Shifting to an even wider, more inclusive perspective that includes both the pleasant and unpleasant, including the entire body and all of its sensations. And when you're ready, moving wider still to include in your awareness the room or area you're sitting or lying in. You might notice that by widening your awareness, there's a sense of space, of freedom, and a capacity for change and movement. Let yourself spend some time here with this wider perspective. If it's not too much of a stretch, see if you can expand your awareness to include the building or natural setting that you're in right now, and even wider to your neighborhood, your town or city, and even further to your region of the country. The difficulty you began with may not have changed itself, but now it's part of something much bigger. And as your awareness expands even further to include the entire world, if that's possible for you, recognize that at this very moment, there are others who are experiencing the same kind of pain or discomfort as you have been. In this way, you're not alone. Out of the many millions, billions of people included, it's certainly true that some of them are experiencing the same sort of pain or difficulty that you are, with the same or even more intensity. The pain, the fears, the worries are not yours to bear alone. They are, in fact, shared by others. There are others feeling the same thing at literally the same time as you. If it seems possible to do this, you might see if you can imagine your awareness expanding even further, seeing the Earth from space the way an astronaut might. That beautiful blue and white sphere against a velvety black backdrop. No visible borders. Seamless, whole, alive, and so precious. When you're doing this on your own, you could stay here for a while if you like, seeing the Earth as this beautiful glowing jewel suspended in space. When you're ready, letting your awareness gradually return to your part of the world, to you, your body. How you're feeling right now, feeling and sensing how it is to be in your body, right here, right now. Coming back to just you, but with the awareness still wide enough to hold both the difficulties and pleasures of your body and your life. And seeing if you can bring gentleness and kindness to whatever you're feeling right now. Hold yourself with compassion and understanding. Spend the next few unguided moments resting deep in the body, in the breath, and allowing any discomfort or ease to be soothed by the rhythm of the breath again and again and again. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes if they've been closed, letting your attention move out to the outside world, taking in sight, sound, sensation, beginning to gently move your body and re-engage with the activities of your day. Seeing if you can bring a fresh sense of curiosity and openness to all that you encounter. This ends the turning toward meditation. You have now completed week 3 of the Be Well Mindfully Mindfulness Training Program. Please remember to participate in the exercises each and every day displayed on the website below this video. As always, take a moment to congratulate yourself on continuing your journey towards living more mindfully.